So Chris, why should someone consider making a holding structure?
Very good question. Holding structure basically is a company that owns a company. Mm-hmm. So that means you put a legal entity around your operational, your active company to only hold the shares. And that makes a lot of sense for several reasons. One is liability. The second one is taxation. So that means if you hold the shares of your company as a private person, then every income you have from that has to be taxed on your personal level. That means if you're a shareholder of your company and get dividends distributed to yourself, you need to pay income tax on the dividends. If you are selling your company, if you make an exit and have a huge amount of money coming in as a private person, you need to tax that profit you made from that. So if you hold your shares with a holding company, that all happens within that legal structure, within that legal entity of a company. And that makes especially sense in Estonia with this deferred profit taxation. Because if you have like a German GmbH around that, you still are subject to an annual profit taxation. And if you have this 7-digit number of euros coming in from your exit, you're still subject to the annual profit taxation within that year, with some exceptions. But in Estonia, as long as you don't take the money out of your holding, you can reinvest it to other vehicles. You can become like an angel investor and invest in new startups, or you buy property from that on the real estate market, whatever your favorite investment vehicle is to grow your wealth for your own retirement in the far future when you're then able and willing to pay taxes on the dividends.
Yeah, okay. So say you're an e-resident and you decide one day to make a holding company. Do you have to visit Estonia regularly in order to get this tax benefit?
That's quite a complicated question, because it all refers to the country where you as an e-resident, so not a resident of Estonia, actually do have your personal tax residency. If that's a company in the European Union or any other OECD country that has the so-called CFC rules, then any foreign companies, or in this case Estonian company that you have, will be probably regarded by your local tax authorities as a local company, as the tax authorities will assume that the place of actual management of this company is where you live. And that basically kills all the advantages of the Estonian tax system. So that means you need to find a way how this foreign company will be regarded a foreign company also from the perspective of your local tax authority. And that's fortunately with a holding company much easier than with an operating company, because you only need to prove that the active management, so the decisions that are made as a managing director by the board of the company, are not made at the place where you live, but in the company of operations. And with an active company that has basically management decisions to be made on a daily basis, that's hard to achieve. But if it's a holding company that doesn't do anything else than owning investments, so that needs to make some decisions about an annual report, maybe a decision about the investment strategy, that are basically 1 or 2 decisions to be made per year. And so if you travel to Estonia for that, keep records of that, have your hotel bills, your flight bills, and actually maybe use that during Latitude 59, the amazing startup and tech conference every year happens here in Tallinn. Then you can do this here on the ground, and you can reason towards your local tax authority that you're making these decisions and that the place of active management of this company is Estonia and not France, Germany, or wherever you are tax resident. Plus, if you are a perpetual traveler, like a long-term world traveler, as so-called digital nomad or location-independent entrepreneur, there might be actually not a single country where you're actually a tax resident on a personal level.
So that digital nomad topic brings us closer to you, because what's your experience with holding structures?
Yeah, I'm doing that myself. I run in the meantime now, several companies here in Estonia where I'm minor or major shareholder. So I have my personal company here where I'm 100% shareholder, and that which I use as a vehicle and as a holding company for all I'm doing in the active business. So this company, for example, also is a minor 10% shareholder of Silva Hunt. I'm one of the founders together with Kaspar, Kadri and Melis, but I'm not in the active business here. I'm more like an advisor and the living use case. But I also use my Estonian company to hold the shares in my German legal entity that's active in the health insurance market. So we're a specialized broker in children's health insurance. Also, I've just founded a new Estonian brokerage that's specialized in global health insurance for digital nomads. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, and that's what Estonia is, the perfect playground and business environment for me.
So, my final question to you, Chris, would be, there are so many service providers. Which one would you recommend to people who would consider making this holding structure?
Yeah, there are perfect service providers out there for like solopreneurs, people who are just running their own little business without advanced demands. But if you level up and if you already know what you're doing, if you're experienced in your industry and want to step up to the next level and want to build like a holding structure around, maybe want to engage in an industry where you need a business license and things like that, that's the turf of Silva Hunt. That's what we've built this company service provider for, with the extra mile in service quality, in responsibility, and especially in experience. There's on the board with Kadri an entrepreneur with many years of experience as a managing director of a well-established company. We have Melis, who is experienced lawyer for tax law, with a long track record in that. So basically that's the one address to go to. Silva Hunt is the service provider for people who want to found a holding structure.
Thank you so much, Chris. I hope you found this really valuable.
We also have regular webinars on this topic, where we can answer your questions live, and we'll go more deep into the details, also depending on the questions by the audience, so we can play this through maybe in direct comparison with German profit taxation. We are happy to share our comparison tables and let you play around with complicated spreadsheets that are just made for you to really understand the long-term effect of compound interest in different taxation jurisdictions.